Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for stopping in. If this is the first time you've been to my channel, my name is Chris, and we are building a Chevy Caprice lowrider. This video, before I wrecked my car, we're gonna be putting the frame together and getting it back on the ground so that we can get the car finally built. So first we're gonna start by looking at this rear end. It's only been mocked up so that we can make sure we put the cylinders in the right spot, so everything was just tack welded. But you can see it's pretty rusty and it's gross, so we're gonna end up stripping this down, clean it up, reinforcing it. We're also gonna knock out these bushings. I bought a set of Blackmagic super pivots so that we don't have any binding issues. So first I started by taking out these bushings, and the only way I could figure out to take them out was to either beat them out with a hammer, which I was afraid to break the ear, or get a press and press them out, a tool or whatever, but I figured why not use fire? So I decided to hit them with the torch, try to get it hot enough to where I could knock that center piece out, and then maybe I could just tap it out with the hammer the rest of the way. It would have a little bit of give, plus the heat might loosen it up a little bit too. So I grabbed the used extension, banged out that center piece, and then I'm gonna whack it a couple times with this mallet to try to get it to pop out. You don't want to hit it too hard because you don't want to break the ear off of that rear end. So in order to get the rear end cleaned up so that we could weld to it, I decided to try to use an acid prep, because getting in all the nooks and crannies was going to be really difficult with just sandpaper or a wire wheel or anything. So I decided to use this metal prep and a cheap paintbrush and just paint it on. And the way this works is you put it on and let it sit for a couple hours and then wash it off, and it should take all the rust or convert the rust off of it. What I'm using here is Clean Strip on this one side, and then on the other side I'm using a gel product called Evapo-Rust. So both of them are kind of the same situation. Put them on, let them sit for an hour or two, a couple hours, and then rinse them off with a hose, and it shouldn't surface rust. Now my Evapo-Rust must have been sitting around for a while because it wasn't gel, it was kind of clumping up, so can't really give it that much of a review, I guess. But if I had to say I would buy it again, I probably wouldn't, because that Clean Strip has been sitting in my garage for about 5 years and it still worked great. So after doing my experiment, I kind of dropped off and forgot about it, and it sat outside for about 3 weeks. So if you notice, the side that is on the left, which had the Clean Strip on it, that side looks really clean, but then you look at the side on the right that had the Evapo-Rust, and it looks kind of terrible. So I picked up this metal from Hydro Joe's, and it's pre-cut to fit the rear end of this car, but it's 3/8, and I figured if I put it across there, it would kind of look weird just being a little thin piece. So I ended up cutting out another one out of the 3/16 that we used to wrap the frame, and then I'll just block it in and, you know, make it look a little bit better, a little bit, I guess, heavier. So even using the metal preps, I decided to just use this drum sander and clean it up really quick. I want to make sure that obviously we got good surface to weld to. Anything I couldn't get with the drum sander, I just came back in with the angle grinder, cleaned it up with a flappy wheel, and finished that up so we can make sure that everything we're going to weld to has good penetration. Mocking up here, you can see how it's going to fit. I'm going to slide this one towards the back, and then I'm going to put the 3/16 one a little bit more towards the front, and then I'll cut some more 3/16 plates and box it in. Unfortunately, the actual welding part of this rear end, I didn't hit record on the camera, and I have none of it, so I'm going to jump right into, we're going to spray bomb this thing. We just use some Rust-Oleum, and we're going to hit it a couple times and make it look good. So these are the cylinders that I purchased for it. They're 14-inch for the rear and 8s for the front. I just spray bombed them because they were sitting around in the garage. They get kind of
scratched up and stuff. The front were actually red and they did not match anything. So actually all the front end parts that are not, I guess, painted or chrome, I'm ended up just painting them satin black with some Rust-Oleum for now. As you can see, this one's still taped off. I gotta peel off the rest of it. If we get to these, hopefully we do. These are all Moog front end pieces for the Caprice. These ones though are the, oh, there's some special on them. These are all Problem Solver ones. So the Problem Solver ones are the high-end Moog ones. They run $40, $50 a piece on these tie rods. They're all made of brass. I don't have any that I didn't take a picture of first before I painted them, but these ones shouldn't have an issue.
So I also did a steering box upgrade. This one is the Borgenson, I don't know, it goes from I think 4 3/4 left to right to this will make it 2.5 turns left to right. So this one speeds it up by almost double, and it should take some of the slop out of it, I would hope.
Now I hear like these things bend and stuff, but I'm gonna start them out. I'm gonna run them on my A-arms. So I'm gonna use these on my chrome arms. I think it'll be easier to break in the springs with these. Then after that, I have regular chrome ball joints I can run if I'm not really digging this. So like I said before, these are 4 ton, but I think I'm gonna end up having to cut back here because trying to wedge all that back in the pocket is crazy. I tried to test fit it and it is not, I mean, it'll go, but it's really getting close to my paint, which I guess I don't care because, you know, I built this to kind of not necessarily beat it up, but to take some abuse. So it's going to get messed up here and there, but it is what it is. So getting back to putting this front suspension together, I've already thrown the A-arms on, upper and lower, at least on the passenger side here. These A-arms, I purchased them, God, it's gotta be back maybe 4 years ago, 3 years ago. I got them from a well-known company, but I was not happy with them. They sat around for a little bit. They got a little beat up, I noticed right here. I know it wasn't nicked, but it looks nicked now. But the company that made these, jeez, they're like a popular company, but dude, I would never buy from them again. There's a lot more other people out there that do this, and they're, from what I've seen, a lot better. Anyways, so we got these in. They weren't exactly what I wanted, but I wanted ones from them that were ready to bolt on. The dog bone was on it, the bushings have been put on it, and it came with ball joints. Granted, I don't think I'm going to use those ball joints. These bottom ones are probably okay. I don't know if they're the Napa Unbreakables or whatever, but I guess we'll find out. These uppers though, since I got a lot of things are going on here. So since I got the stack of springs here, which I believe I might have bought the wrong size springs, I could not, for the life of me, get this to really line up and fit. I could not get the spring in there, so I ended up having to cut the spring down a little bit to get them to fit. These springs are only 4 ton. I want to say a buddy of mine got a G-body and he's running 4.5, and I should have probably picked up 5 ton. And I don't know if cutting that one coil off, or that one piece of coil, it's really just like the pigtail or whatever, if that would make it sit too low, because I don't want to smack the belly.
So without having any way I could think of to actually get this spring to compress and be able to bolt the spindle on, I decided to take the ratchet straps and strap them around from A-arm to A-arm so it wouldn't actually hit any paint or anything. On the one side, I have the little tab so that I can hook a chain to the lower control arm. So I did it there for one point, but then on the other side, I didn't have anything. Just another look at that steering. It's 12:7:1 ratio. Should be sweet. There might be a little bit of modifications to get this to all work 100%. So keep that in mind. This fits a lot of GM cars from the 60s all the way up into the 80s or 90s, I believe. So in order to use that new steering box, we have to take the old steering arm off of the old gearbox. That in itself is a little bit of a trick, but if you use a puller, you should have no problems pulling it off. I had to use a puller with an impact actually to get it off, but there is differences. If you see here, this arm is set up to accept 7 prongs and then a flat spot, 7 prongs, flat spot, 7 prongs, flat spot, all the way around. The Borgenson one is set up for 8 prongs and a flat spot, 8 prongs and a flat spot, all the way around for 4 times. If that doesn't make sense, I'm going to show you how to put it on. So at this point, I just bought these little deburr tools from Harbor Freight. I want to say it came in a pack of 4, and there's a bunch of different sizes and cones. This one just happens to be the skinnier one, and it worked out pretty good. As you can see, I'm only using it on a drill, so it doesn't have to be some high-speed angle grinder or anything. And then I just came back in, cleaned it up the rest of the way, and just tried to make it like factory. After you got it all cleaned up, what you want to do is keep on test fitting this arm to make sure it fits. And at first it didn't even go on, but now it does fit. I'll just clean it up a little bit more, and then I'll come back and I'll test the threads and make sure those are good too. Then we can install it. Now the seal on this pinion was leaking, so we got to go and take off this yoke, pull it off, clean it up, and then pull that old seal out of there. I just hit it out with a hammer, dented it down, popped it right out. With the new one, you're going to want to try to put it in even, and then try to put it down as best as you can evenly. Make sure that it, seats all the way around the same amount. Put that yoke back on and you'll be back in business. On the rear end now, I ended up buying a chrome cover. I got a Fel-Pro gasket. All I'm going to do right now is just drain out the fluid, replace the fluid, and then replace this rear cover. And I'm using Indian Head shellac. Well, this is just, I guess it's just shellac. Put it on there, spread it on, and then that seal shouldn't leak ever again. Now these are the super pivots from Black Magic Hydraulics, and like I said before, they go in the ears on the rear end, and they're supposed to keep it from binding. So when the car is going up and down, the angles are changing all the time. This is supposed to make it so that it's still safe and sturdy, but the angle should be able to change at will. It shouldn't have any binding, hopefully. For brake lines, I ended up finding a company called Finish Lines. I needed lines that were 4 inches longer than OEM. These didn't cost much more than what a set of rubber OEM hoses would have cost, and these ones look a lot better too. Even with the car fully locked up, you can see that they won't ever get caught up underneath the frame or anything. They stay out of the way. So I was finally able to pull it out of the garage. Man, this is a long time coming. I'm so happy to be able to finally get to this point. There's still a long road ahead, but it's getting shorter for sure. Walking around this frame, it's pretty clean, but it's been sitting in there for about a month and a half now. It's a little bit dusty and dirty, but I'll get it cleaned up before we put the motor back on it. Next Caprice video, we're going to be tearing down that motor, get that painted up, put it back on this frame so that we can get the car and the frame back together again and get this thing going. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe. And until next time, later.